机。墨镜哥摸什么？墨镜哥 more 点子。Turn on the radio. Muck and go. What's more? Dr.MORE iDEARS. Hello, welcome back to this week's Dr.MORE iDEARS. 今天的日期是2017年的3月22号了。原来3月份已经进入倒数的阶段咯。墨镜哥从上周就开始校园的巡回，一路从台北到台南的成大、宜兰的中兴国小，然后又到了新竹坚实，昨天呢又刚从宜兰的成功国小成功返回台北。还记得在中兴国小的时候，校长也好奇地问墨镜哥，怎么不辞辛劳全省跑透透呢？没有错，听众朋友也知道墨镜哥因为自己的视力状况，所以无论是走到校园里面去进行视力保健的宣导，或者是生命故事的分享，以及到了大专院校里面与师生近距离互动，进行一些设计的工作坊以及视障的体验等等，其实都是在为大家未来铺路哦。如果我们对于无障碍设计还有通用设计能多了解一些的话，不仅可以帮助到真正的弱势使用者，未来我们自己也派得上用场哦。我们赶快来听听本周的北中南全省跑透透天气报告。
Back on over to John Billows for our 5-day weather forecast. John.
Are you serious? Are you serious, folks? It's crazy.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Les saluda Violeta Jazz con un vistazo en su pronóstico de Latinoamérica.
尋晚咧，香港咧就行雷閃電，落咗一場大雨㗎。比較大雨嘅地方就有屯門、大嶼山同埋南丫島。
Hallo und guten Abend. Verbreitet grau und trübe heute über Deutschland, wenn man genau hinschaut.
今天随着一股新冷空氣的到來，在華北到江淮這一帶地區，霧和霾會漸弱消散。
聽日嘅氣温咧係介乎5至10度，日夜温差咧都好大下㗎。最後睇埋全國城市嘅天氣預測。
福島県、宮城県、山形県、茨城県、栃木県では強い揺れに警戒してください。
气象局提醒，今天晚间到明天清晨，北部和中部的低温会降到22度。
Also, though, some thunderstorms breaking out through central Canada, the northern plains of the US, increasingly hot.
中央气象局观测到了1点58分，更是达到摄氏39.3度，创下百年纪录。
Hola, ¿cómo están? Les saluda Violeta Jazz con un vistazo en su pronóstico de Latinoamérica.
Praise God for that.
歡迎收睇天氣報告。
好的，欢迎回到本周的 Dr.MORE iDEARS Live， 在 Voice of Han FM106.5， 每周三的晚上11点到12点。虽然这个时间有点晚，像是在国中小的同学，这些小听众朋友大概都已经睡着了吧？不过没关系，只要在隔天就可以听到墨镜哥将今天晚上的节目完整的放上YouTube channel， 在墨镜哥的官方 YouTube 频道上面都可以听到最及时的节目内容。另外，墨镜哥团队也会将 YouTube 里面放上丰富的 video， 就是把这些影像啦、图档全部拉到 YouTube 里面。所以除了可以收听我们广播频道里面声音及时的资讯之外，也可以去瞧瞧我们在 YouTube 里面放了哪些精彩的动画。话说，大家还记得我们上周的节目讨论到婚姻平权吗？在邀请我们的来宾再次出场之前呢，墨镜哥还要提醒大家，其实这几年一路走访各大小的学校，除了与同学分享视力保健的资讯，还有讲述生命故事之外呢，也会找机会和大家谈谈性别平等教育这件事情。我们不因其他人与我们的差异性，或者是性取向，甚至是宗教、信仰等等而去霸凌或歧视其他人，这也是相当重要的哦。上周的节目当中，我们也播放了一致永志妈妈的告白，也正是因为没有落实性别平等教育而产生的偏见，导致一连串悲剧的发生。就先让我们来听一首反霸凌的歌曲 Egoholic 恋我癖，收录在陈星汉 Welcome to the Next Level 专辑里面，由蔡依林所演唱这首歌。 继上周我们谈到 LGBT 所关心的 same-sex marriage 议题呢，本周同样令 LGBT community 关注的就是继最高法院为王光禄案直播开庭，大法官就同性婚姻案就定在这个礼拜五的3月24号进行言词辩论，并且将开庭的过程全程直播，邀请2个案子的申请人台北市政府以及齐家威，并且也邀请民法以及户政业务单位一起出庭。而齐家威呢，则是国内第一个公开出柜的男同志，他在16年前呢曾经提过释宪案被驳，后来呢又2度提出同婚释宪，而此次大法官会议呢就将他的案子以及台北市政府的释宪案一并审理，并且召开言词辩论庭。齐家威在2000年的时候与他的同性伴侣公证结婚遭拒，提行政诉讼败诉后呢，于是申请释宪，但隔年1月在司法院大法官的认定下，以个人见解对于现行婚姻制度有所指责而不予以受理。2014年呢，齐家威再次释宪，这次他找来了伴侣盟，就是台湾伴侣权益推动联盟，来协助有关法律相关的事宜。有了律师团的协助呢，在2015年的8月，大法官就正式受理此案。而另一案呢，则是由台北市政府所申请的释宪案。近年来，因为有许多的同志伴侣透过登记结婚来冲撞现行的体制，因此呢，台北市政府也正式提出此案。而其中伴侣盟呢，又在过去号召了30几位的同性伴侣一起到市府去登记申请结婚遭拒，而其中呢，包含吕新杰在内的3对同志伴侣在遭拒后呢，并提起行政诉讼。有鉴于此呢，身为登记主管机关的台北市政府呢，便在2015年正式提出释宪申请，而大法官也予以受理。而我想许多 LGBT community 的朋友并不陌生的，就是在去年10月，立法院通过新任大法官审查案，其中7位大法官当中有5位对于同志婚姻是表达友善的态度。想必这一次呢，大法官会议决定就同性婚姻平权释宪案开宪法法庭辩论，并全面直播，也与此 gay friendly 的举动呢有密切的关系。究竟呢3月24号之后会有什么样的新风向球，也请我们所有朋友以及 LGBT community 密切关注。在我们邀请今天来宾出场之前呢，让我们先来欣赏一首由 t.A.T.u 所演唱的 All the Things She Say 俄文版哦。Yes, sошла. 这个版本是 Flying Dream Versions。失去理智是 t.A.T.u 在俄国的第1支冠军单曲。这一首歌呢，就是大家熟知的 All the Things She Say 的原曲。当时在俄国刚推出的时候呢，可是遭到禁播的哦，无论是在 MTV 台或者各大音乐电台都是不能播放的。可别小看 t.A.T.u 这2位小女生，她们是2001年出道的俄罗斯双人女子团体，刷新了许多的记录。她们的第1首冠军单曲在俄罗斯推出的时候就震惊了听众以及观众朋友，以她们女同志的形象大胆又叛逆，为人津津乐道。而在隔年2002年就推出了英文专辑《超速快感》200 kilometers per hour in the wrong lane， 也在全球刮取一阵 t.A.T.u 旋风。 t.A.T.u 的拼法呢是小写的 T 大写的 A 大写的 T 小写的 U， 为什么不直接就 t.A.T.u 大写或 t.A.T.u 小写就好了呢？是因为当时他们在全球发行的时候才发现呢，奥地利也有一个合创团体也叫做 t.A.T.u， 因此他们在国际上就取名小写 T 大写 A 大写 T 还有小写的 U。 他们甚至在日本呢拿下双白金的好成绩，这可是非常不容易的 record。 当时只有谁呢拿到这项殊荣？ 就是我们的海咪咪 Mariah Carey 以及 Beatles 才曾经拿下这么好的成绩哦。 All the things she say MV 里面这两位小妞穿着传统类似苏格兰裙的校服，在栅栏的一边哭喊着叫喊着彼此亲吻着，而隔着另外一头观望他们的是冷漠的异样眼光的路人们还有长辈，象征传统的霸权。而他们在栅栏的另外一边透过亲吻，透过牵手，透过拥抱，透过歌唱表达他们的诉求。 MV 中呢，从下着大雨一直到下起了一场雪，仿佛也都是在代表这争权抗夺之路并不容易。最后 MV 呢，他们两个人手牵着手走向远处，在栅栏另外一头的人呢，仿佛才是被封闭思想隔离起来的那群人。
你现在收听的是 Dr.MORE iDEARS 摸点子。中场休息了，小便洗手，快点回来哦。
好的，欢迎回到 Dr.MORE iDEARS 的节目现场。上周我们邀请到 Susie and Candy， 而且墨镜哥不小心在 YouTube 里面还把 Candy 的名字拼成了 C-A-N-D-Y， 真的是糖果耶。其实 Candy 的名字是 K-A-N-D-Y， 不过 Candy 也是蛮可爱的啦。那本周呢，我们一样要跟他们继续探讨有关 same-sex marriage 以及 same right equality 对于同性伴侣之间的重要性。上周由于时间的关系，很不好意思把他们留到那么晚，这个礼拜又凹他们回到节目现场。事不宜迟，我们直接再来探讨一下有关他们对于同性伴侣法案的国内外的一些看法吧。
我们今天在探讨的主题会越来越严肃哦，有很多的宗教。There's a lot of different religions like Christians, Catholics, they're against this idea of same-sex marriage.
Yes.
我们去年在台湾其实轰轰烈烈就一直有很多这样的议题在被广为的讨论。那我也想要再请教两位，请问在美国的 same-sex marriage 就是同性婚姻，它是经过多久的 struggle， 然后多少的 debate， 然后一直到确切可以，是不是也是这几年的事情
？Well, in California, so you know, it's laws in the U.S. It's by state and then it's federal. So every single state can have their own laws about marriage, and so California actually had same-sex marriage allowed in what was it in 2008?
Well, even before that, it was domestic partnerships. It wasn't called a marriage. It was defined differently than a marriage.
在台湾我不知道 if there's such thing as domestic partners.
There's 他们现在就有两个说法，一个就是所谓的修改民法972。那我在想你们讲的那个 domestic partnership，that would be 专法。就是成立一个专法，去把你的婚姻伴侣，就是你的同性伴侣纳入在这一块专法里面。
但是其实在那边异性伴侣也是可以当 domestic partners。
Oh, really?
就是你在美国常常会觉得说结婚是跟 religion 有关系的。So, you know, the sanctity of marriage, and that's I'm trying to think of the difference between domestic partners and marriage. And 基本上是一样东西啦。In California, there was for a period of time, I think there was a year or there was a short window in 2008 where people were allowed to get married.
Like Ellen DeGeneres got married to Portia de Rossi, and so it was legal for a short amount of time.
In just the state of California.
是.
But they overturned that for a little while. 类似像台湾的民法一样 people can vote for that specific law. And so after the short window of time that people were able to get married, they overturned that. They didn't nullify the marriages that happened, but you just weren't, same-sex couples weren't allowed to get married anymore. And so...
Wait, so what happened for those who were already married before?
It's recognized. It's recognized as a marriage. They couldn't take that away from them.
And so it was still recognized, but just, you know, other couples weren't allowed to get married.
And just to be clear, it wasn't only California. There was a handful of states that were like Washington, I think Hawaii, some Maine, or some eastern states. So there was just a select few that were able to do that. So a lot of couples from states that weren't allowed to get married actually went.
Other states?
They actually went there just to get married. So the other state would have to recognize it, because if you get married in one state, it's legally binding.
But
in another state.
When you move back to your home state, you're still not recognized as a married couple. So it's very 在美国因为有点复杂，因为有50个州，然后每个州都会有自己的
There are 50 states.
对，每个州都会有自己的法律，所以想要结婚的人，你虽然可以到别的州去结婚，或者是你回到你
It doesn't
your
count.
home state, it doesn't count. It doesn't matter anymore. But it's just for the sake of wanting to get married, just to prove that we can.
Well, most people went to Vegas for that, right? And then if you get really drunk and then you're married,
yes,
married.
For 5 minutes.
Yeah, for 5 minutes. But that counts, right? Even that drunk marriage in Vegas, it counts,
even,
right?
you know, for anybody who wants to get married in Vegas, you can. But I think Nevada was actually one of the last states.
最后一周。
不是最后一周啊，但是 it wasn't one of the first ones.
Right?
Yeah, it wasn't one of the first ones.
Okay. 加州其实也蛮晚才真正 recognize 同性婚姻，对吗？
California was actually, they were a little further behind. I think like Maine and Vermont, some of the smaller states up in the East Coast, they were
pretty advanced. They run real fast.
They were a little more progressive than California was. California tried, and you know, like I said, in 2008 they had a short window of time that they allowed same-sex marriage.
Well, I'm kind of I don't want to get into politics, but I'm shocked because California has a lot of Democrats, right?
And
but is a lot of conservatives.
Yeah,
a lot of conservatives.
Yes.
这件事情现在我们可以已经确定，在美国在哪一年之后，其实它现在全美都已经是同志婚姻合法。
2013年
就已经
是在2013年结婚的，
就是在那一年，对不对
？So United States as a whole,
对
same-sex couples are allowed to get married in every single state, and I think the laws are all the
Which
same.
is they're still fighting. Some states are still fighting against that law,
and, so
but they can't.
And not only are you allowed to get married in every single state, you are able. So Candy was able to sponsor me,
对
as
federally
for immigration purposes.
对
She was able to sponsor me,
Okay.
because you know that was one of the big things. You know, even if you could get married in California in 2008, you couldn't sponsor your partner
原来
for immigration purposes. So that was a big deal too. So even though it was recognized in California,
but only
as you know, the federal level, and immigration issues are a federal issue.
Good.
And so
you need that federal recognition in order
I needed
to.
that at that point. And so in 2013, DOMA was overturned. DOMA was
Defense of Marriage Act.
Yeah.
对
That was overturned in 2013.
Yeah, it was pretty big on the news at that
It
time.
was.
对，所以其实刚才舒子也和我们听众朋友分享到一个重点哦。其实虽然2008年加州就已经是认可所谓的同志婚姻，但它比较像是就是一个伴侣的感觉，就登记了你在加州是合格。但是对于像舒子的状况，因为舒子是外国人嘛，其实等于是结婚才到，就是等于算嫁到美国嘛，
算嫁到
美国去，所以在身份上，其实在2008年，就算那时候当时结婚好了，有一个同志婚姻关系在，它是没有所谓的 federal 的一个依据的，它是不能成为所谓的美国人。但是因为你们在2013年也在法令通过 federal law 通过之后，所以现在苏子已经就可以取得合法的身份。这几年的时间，其实婚后现在你们是算第4年嘛，对不对
？3年半。
3年半。那其实 iDEARS有没有 after you guys 有没有说你是不是真的结婚，不是诈婚哦，不是为了取得身份，有这样子的一些调查或者是追踪吗？
The process was lengthy. We turned in a lot of proof of the relationship before we were married.
Like what kind of evidence for that?
I had to show that I went to Taiwan, met her family. I went to Malaysia, met other family. She met my family in San Diego, Southern California.
So which means a lot of pictures, photos.
A lot of pictures, itineraries for flying.
Trips that we've taken
Affidavits from our friends saying that they've known we've been in a relationship and that we're very happy and they support us.
So you guys have to keep all the tickets and everything as well?
Good thing we did.
It's kind of like a journal, like a travel diary, relationship diary. We had to lay out.
And also just to point out, this wasn't something that all immigration processes, marriage, everybody has to do the same thing.
Okay.
This wasn't just because we were a same-sex couple. They treated us with a lot
equally.
of respect. Yeah, they treated us equally.
Wait, you mean heterosexual if they want to get married?
They have to do the same
like
thing.
a foreigner and then a Native American, they will have to do the thing. 所以我们听众朋友学到了，不是学到了，我们也了解到，其实在美国，他们并没有去歧视说，因为你是同志伴侣的婚姻，所以你才需要准备这一些证明你们在交往前的这些照片啦，或者这些影像的记录等等，而是只要是外国人，你只要在美国取得婚姻，然后合法的居留，其实就是有这些证明要提供的 ，right？ 那我想我们休息一下，回来我们再跟Suzy还有 Candy 再讨论一些更有趣你不知道的同性婚姻的问题。
我们先来欣赏一首《如果的事》，是收录在2005年范玮琪1:1专辑里面与张韶涵一起合唱的。这首歌说来也挺特别的，因为当时不过就是女孩子间对于感情事的看法，但不知怎么传着传着就变成了女同志之间私密情谊的一首歌。
那其实我们在前一段的节目谈到了很多，包含是同志婚姻在美国加州一直到整个 federal 后来的这个过程，这件事情在台湾的可执行性，因为不管我们是从立法端是要修改民法或者专法，其实里面有很多的这些细节都是很多的学者专家或者在关注在 LGBT community 议题的朋友都持续理解的齁。先回来再访问一下 Susie 跟 Candy， 就是其实这中间你们两个人的感情有一段时间是处于 long D 啊，那不知道在交往这一段期间是不是有一些争执啦，或者有很多的事情是你们得要去克服的？
在我们差不多交往1年半之后，我是因为学生身份待在美国的，然后在美国住了差不多10年了以后，就是因为学生身份没有了，然后申请工作证没有申请到，所以 I had to leave the U.S. for a little while to not be I don't know, blacklisted.
黑名单啊
Yeah, I didn't.
They have like a blacklist for that if you stay too long?
I don't think there's an actual blacklist for it, but if
there is a list you can't enter again for 10 years, so you kind of get the punishment of having to stay out and not being able to return.
我们交往1年半了以后
就离开美国了。
I moved back to Taiwan.
Okay.
And Candy
That was a little crazy.
That was a little crazy. That was so I spent 6 months in Taiwan and then 6 months in the U.S. And then
visa lasts 6 months, so she's allowed to stay under 6 months.
So 我从台湾到美国是申请那个旅游签证，
飞回美国，
所以在台湾待6个月，然后再回去美国待6个月，所以基本上差不多1年半的时间，1年半差不多2年。
So it would be like a 6 months honeymoon and another 6 months like fighting nonstop kind of thing.
Not that bad.
Not that bad.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't necessarily fighting. It was just. You know, conflict comes up because
why are you not here with me? I need to be here, Remy.
Right.
It's tough. It's tough.
It was really hard.
See, I have potential to be lesbian. Just kidding. Well, but that was very torturing, right?
It was because between the time difference and the distance, you had to figure out how to be in a relationship because neither of us have done that.
Oh my God.
And it was a new relationship. Yeah. I mean, there's, it's not like she and I were together for 10 years and then she had to leave. It was the beginning of a relationship when we first started the trying to get a work visa for her. So we dealt with that before she left, and then that didn't work. So we had to figure out where this relationship was going, and that was tough too.
Do you guys actually talk about it?
A lot.
Okay.
A lot. That's what
you have to.
所以你2个人住在不同的地方的时候 that's you can Skype.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all you do. That's all.
I thought people use FaceTime these days, but Skype is okay.
Yeah. Sometimes one was more reliable than the other.
Okay, but can they ever question you that this is not what I signed up for?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
I had to process what I wanted to get out of a relationship. I wanted somebody who was there for me, literally, physically, and emotionally. And so that was very difficult to carve this relationship out of the situation because I wasn't necessarily getting what I expected. So I had to realign my expectations with what was. And I had to deal with the situation in a relatively emotional way, but logical.
Oh, logical but emotional.
You had to see it.
That's confusing, but
for me, for me, it's both ways. Follow your heart and follow your brain. There's the coming together of those two things.
So how did Susie, take place at while you guys are apart? Did she play a good role, or did she also get emotional and then why don't we just separate?
There was volcano emotions.
I like that drama. Love it.
Of course, but I think it also in a way brought us together because we dealt with things that normally people don't deal with in the first part of their relationship. Usually it's the honeymoon period, everything's hunky-dory, you love each other, everything's great, you're all excited. We had to deal with like serious stuff in the beginning, which I think made it more difficult on our relationship, but also better in the long run. Because if we can get through that, I feel like we could get through anything. I mean, if you still come out of a long-distance relationship in a positive way and still getting married and still enjoy being married.
You conquer something, right?
Huge. Okay. It's a huge
It was
definitely
step. A big milestone for the both of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is it also because this time that you guys are apart for how long though?
It was about a year and a half.
A year and a half.
But, realistically it was maybe about a year apart.
Okay.
But it spanned, because in between a year and a half I was back there for 6 months.
Right.
And even when she was living back with me, it was living together, which was different from living apart too. So we had two different relationships.
That's the challenge, right?
We had the long distance relationship.
Wait, have you guys ever stayed together before?
Yeah, we
lived together before she left.
Okay.
But it was different because, she will spend 6 months, being by herself. And when you're on your own, you
have your own space, you have your own schedule.
You create your own habits, you have, you're used to having this amount of space to yourself, and all of a sudden, I come home
somebody
for 6
intrude
months.
the space, right?
I almost feel like an intruder sometimes. And it's understandable.
So when Susie first returned and started living together, did you say like, I wish you were not here now?
I don't think it was that dramatic. But yes, there was some adjustments. There was somebody constantly there. She didn't work, so it was, you had this, housewife.
Housewife. Wait, she's a good housewife?
She is a good housewife.
Oh, I didn't know. Good to know.
So she took care of me, but at the same time, you have somebody in your space 24/7 when you had no one.
Right?
So, that was an adjustment too.
But you guys managed to work things out, when you guys are apart and then together again. 对 Susie 而言 or to Candy, is this process also one of the notch, like the punch, like okay, I think we can get married, or this is only part of it, or being through this really helped you guys to realize it?
I think it's all a process. I don't think there was a big bang.
Okay.
If you want to use that term, like we're doing this.
There wasn't one thing.
It's
just everything.
It was just a combination of us being able to, one, work through just one, being in a relationship.
Okay.
And two, being apart for a relationship, and then being back together again, and just being able to, flop back and forth between how to be for the, 3
and she was also
years.
having to deal with gay here in Taiwan.
Yeah, it was
being gay is easy in California and San Francisco.
Really? Being away, for me,
away from
when you're away from your family,
comforts.
It's easier to be yourself, I feel like, because I've been away from home since I was 19, 20 years old, so I haven't been really...
It's been a couple of years now,
right?
I
haven't been around my family as a lesbian for very long, or at all at that point. And so I didn't grow up here, so I had to pretty much create a life out of nothing, really.
Susie 跟 Candy 都有分享到，因为你们交往一段期间之后，很快就分开了嘛，因为必须要离境一段时间。那中间这段 on and off 的时间，其实你们又讲到一些沟通的方式，让彼此都一直 stay in 在这段关系里面。那后来当然包含你又能够回到美国之后，两个人生活上也有很多的一些磨合啦、摩擦，也都能够一直走到最后要决定要进入婚姻这段。你们也说不是因为单一的事件，它就是这一些事情所累积起来，让你们知道说很需要彼此在身边啦，然后很想要进入下一个阶段的关系。
夜深了，小鬼也睡了，快点来睡觉。别忘了下周要准时收听哦。
那你们谁跟谁求婚，还是老夫老妻说好吧，那我们结婚吧？Well, it's not a question for me, it's a question for my fans page, but they would like to know.
Well, it's a discussion before you have the proposal.
Discussion?
I think, well, I mean, considering where we were
That's
for...
very logical, huh? Also rational.
I think we're both a good combination of being emotional and logical in our relationship. We both proposed to each other.
Oh.
We were both prepared to propose to each other, and it happened
around the same timing.
At the same time.
I was actually going to do it when we were in Vegas, and
not one of those drunk.
No. I planned it, and then I forgot the ring, so that just didn't happen.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
so that was a surprise.
I think how the proposal was going to come out was a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in Thailand, and we both were prepared for it. I wanted to do it while we were ziplining, but they didn't have any GoPro cameras. I wanted it to be on camera.
We have a lot of those here in Taiwan.
Yeah, they didn't have any available, and so after we went ziplining, so I had the ring in my pocket for a long time, and we went to this beautiful waterfall, and I asked one of the people that was with us in the bus to take our picture by the waterfall.
Wow.
And I happened to open a box, and it was a ring with a vintage typewriter key with a little question mark. And so I asked her to marry me, and luckily she said yes. So we continued on our vacation.
Wait, so you didn't do any housework? She did all the housework.
No, I had.
You say yes. That's very difficult.
I had my ring prepared for her months before our trip to Thailand.
Okay, I want to hear your version of the story.
It wasn't super romantic. It was, just my nerdy way of asking her to marry me, and I happen
describe the ring.
I happen to really like Legos, and so.
Wait, do you guys have the ring now?
No, I don't. We don't wear that.
Okay, I want that pictures. Okay.
Neither of the rings were something that we would wear, but it was more of like the symbolism.
The symbolism.
But what's wrong with the ring? It was very artistic, right? It must be.
It was both very, but they weren't functional as a daily wear.
I see.
So we didn't go ring shopping like a normal heterosexual couple would go. The girl would pick out a ring. Yes,
okay.
That's too traditional for us, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my ring was just something with a Lego piece on it. It was in a Lego box with a little robot on it.
It was pretty cute. Yeah.
It's cute. And probably save a lot of budget. No.
Well, we were in Thailand on vacation, so.
Yeah, what can you expect, right? But it means something. It's unique, right?
Yes.
One of the kind.
It was, what she gave me was really her, and what I gave her was really me.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it was... And it all happened on the same trip.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is so sweet. Oh my God. 哇，如果听众朋友现在在听的话，应该会觉得说，不行，太甜了真的很甜蜜。因为不管是一般人在交往，已经很不容易了，更何况是同性之间。那Suzy跟 Candy 又特别不容易，是因为文化背景也不同。然后我们在台湾会说是 CCR 啦 ，Cross Culture Romance， 然后甚至可以走入进入婚姻这一步，又是同性婚姻，其实真的有很多是可以跟我们分享的。
哇哦，听完了 Candy 跟 Suzy 之间的求婚记，是不是超浪漫的你是不是也想要有自己一个专属的 ring？ 让墨镜哥想起 Beyonce 的 I'm a Single Lady 里面的 If you like it, put a ring on it。 但是墨镜哥现在要点播给大家听的是另外一首歌，是陶喆和蔡依林合唱的《今天你要嫁给我》，收录在陶喆2006年《太美丽》的专辑之中。这首歌呢，由陶喆和9令一起演唱。会邀到9令来演唱的关系，是因为陶喆觉得9令很有个性，平常呢都走性感路线，因此想要透过这首比较甜蜜的歌曲，让大家看见9令不同于以往的表现，比较可爱、天真、浪漫的一面。这支 MV 呢，也透过世纪的变化，象征一对情侣从初恋、热恋一直到蜜月期，到最后走入婚姻、步入礼堂的喜悦。歌曲中呢，也甚至把牧师的誓词拿来当作饶舌的歌词呢。
那我想要再请 Suzy 跟 Candy 跟我们聊一聊，就是前一阵子在探讨这个同性婚姻的部分，是不是可以给我们一些前车之鉴？ 因为很多的民众他们会上街去游行，会去 protest， 会去反对这样的一些同性婚姻的一些条款。那他们会认为说你不应该去动民法啦，你应该去建立所谓的专法啦。但是很多的同志族群以及朋友也会站出来说，不，我们其实应该是可以受到民法同样的法条的保障。那这些事情是不是也可以再给双方的支持者跟反对方一些想法或者一些 input？
讲到法律方面的东西的话，我觉得你会把事情搞得更复杂。因为基本上呢，我们只是两个人想要在一起 ，and that's all. We don't want to be treated as, we 常常说什么同性啊、异性啊在一起，你把这两个事情这样子分开讲，问题我们就是 we're just people who want to be together,
对
and have the same rights as everybody else. Everything break down to.I guess, to a molecule of talking about of two people being together. That's really it. There's, if there were no laws to talk about this, I think it'd be a lot easier.
But laws are important, right?
It is important. I get that it is important to, keep a peaceful environment. But when it comes to talking about relationships between two people, I'm sure there will be people talking about relationships between multiple people. But we're just two human beings who want to be together, who want to spend the rest of our lives together.
Yes.
And, for some people, it's having families.
And in the end, it's discrimination for us. Thinking of the civil rights movement, women voting. I mean, all the things that were culturally,
we talk about races, right? Yeah. And then females, can they go to school? Can they vote?
Right. So this was this is the modern day age of that inequality that we're fighting against. And inequality is really just being happy with who you are and who you're with.
Yeah. 当然那个是一开始的 incentive， 就是那个开始的点嘛，就是因为我们和任何人一样，我们想要爱，想要被爱，然后想要跟对方在一起，然后一样是被认可的，一样是有被保障的。可是当你们听到有很多的一些很滑稽的 statement， 包含像说if we approve same-sex marriage, I'm gonna marry my dog. Some people are gonna marry like the whale.
We had that.
Yeah. You guys have that too?
We had people who talks about it. And, and it wasn't just, a passing comment from somebody I didn't know. And it was, somebody I knew. I'm sure religion will come up as a topic in this conversation. But there was somebody I knew from a while back, and it was a semi-close friend. And
semi-close friend.
Semi-close friend
okay.
was.
Yeah.
And he was Catholic. He couldn't look past his religion. And he wanted people to protest against gay marriage. And that was very offensive to me. Simply because I was very baffled by the thought that he would say something like that, because I thought he was a friend. And he understood that we're just the same. And we're just human beings who want to be together. But he couldn't look past, what he was taught from the Bible, that, marriage was meant to be between a man and a woman. And
that was the definition.
That was the definition for him. And so I feel like we're so stuck on dictionary definitions for what things are, and there's no room for anything else. And I think that's the biggest problem. We're set on certain things that we can't look past.
所以这个沟通的程序，因为在台湾其实现在正在经历这个流程。那在美国那个时候，你们觉得有哪一个是比较有效的沟通方式，还是说没有？就是 OK， 那拍板定案就这样。
I'm trying to think of a way to communicate with people.
Yes.
Well, you can talk about how you communicated with your family, because they are religious, and how that your mom is a prime example of the opposite of how she was raised.
Right.
And if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Because there are so many brutal comments from, different religious parties now. They're called like the LGBT. You guys are going to die from AIDS. You guys are going to go down to hell, and then you guys are ruining the world and stuff like that. So we're really trying to find and seek if there's any good samples or, like a way, really to communicate, or you don't need to communicate, just make it happen. How was it for you guys in the States? Or like, is
well, it's interesting because there's the people, I think religion is the driving force behind the hatred, but also, like, for instance, my father, who is now 90, he grew up understanding gay people to be those ones who contracted and spread AIDS, who were doing inappropriate behaviors, parties, or, you know, in an apartment. And his view on gay people also was parallel to pedophiles and people who were sick, which he lumped into one basket. And so it's interesting to find people, and he is religious too, but that was, aside from religion, what people think of gay people is from a bad time or a bad representation. Really, if you go to a gay pride parade, it's all about families and communities and people coming together and support. It's not about sex and stuff, promiscuity that people think it is. It really isn't.
Yeah, 但是很多人会把这个社群的一些 sample 放大，就比如说他们看到有同志朋友可能他们有吸毒啦，或者有这种摇头轰趴啦，可能有染病，他就会认为整个族群似乎都是有这样的一个 trend， 然后甚至也会说同志朋友他可能会传染。可是包含刚才 Candy 也说到，像很多的宗教，其实宗教的本质它应该是去散播更多的爱跟理解，而不是说就像 hatred 啊，像 anger 啊，去 spray， 去有那种拉锯嘛。但这些其实都是我们现在正在经历的，在同婚。
常常我觉得说宗教 ，even though they teach you about loving people around you, and I feel like you pick and choose what you want to spread from what you learn from your religion. It's easy for people to hate. It's very, very simple to, you know, if you just watch the news, it's half the things that 90% of the things that we watch on the news are negative things. We don't talk about, you know, who's doing good charity work. We don't talk about
比例上确实比较少的。
Right, so 常常会觉得说你在台湾看新闻的话，什么东西都是负面的东西。
I also think it's us versus them. We're different.
Yeah.
And so different is bad.
And then easy to be picked on.
And easy to yeah, exactly.
其实就是两个人之间，我们其实就是很渴望跟任何人一样，我们找到了对方，我们很愿意共患难，不管是生老病死，这一切都有这个人 special someone 在我的旁边，那感觉是可以让你们更坚定的。无论是在生活上，在工作上，情感面、扶持面，其实这都是很再自然不过的事情，对吧？
对，
好，那其实我想在这个部分呢，最后也要再请Susie 跟 Candy 帮我们很多仍然在台湾在为同婚努力的这些朋友，给他们一些鼓励，好不好？
Keep fighting because
I think it's an open dialogue really is the important part, because the acceptance comes with knowledge and understanding that I am the same person I was when I was 5, and people loved me because I was adorable and cute.
Yours,
and you can still love me because I'm adorable and cute. I just happen to be with a woman.
真的
So I think it's the dialogue that's important for people who are LGBT to be open to questions and open to honesty and open to other people's viewpoints and not, you know, I've been asked some really weird questions. I mean, even my family is still like, well, who's the man? You know?
Who's the man in the relationship?
There's no, it's not the same dynamic. Yeah, there is no man. I mean, when that question comes, it's kind of offensive.
Oh, okay.
But you, as an LGBT member, I need to not be offended to the point where I'm not going to try to talk about it.
Tell them, right?
Exactly. And my family, my parents mostly, ask a lot of questions, and I feel that that's very important so that they can understand where I come from. I mean, they raised me. They know how they raised me in a very conservative Mormon religion, and yet, you know, I tried to be a heterosexual, you know, normal person, quote unquote, and I didn't, and that wasn't happy. So I love that they will ask questions on how it came to be, on how I understood it, my struggle.
Yeah.
I think my mom is the one that's mostly like, I'm so sorry you had to go through this. Because it is a struggle. Like, I know my struggle, our struggle, is a lot easier than the struggle of many people before us. And they paved that way for us to have this open dialogue, and we need to continue that. I think that's what is important in any culture, Taiwan, US, wherever it may be. Have an open dialogue and be less offended and less offensive.
其实我想这一路来，在我们节目中，目前跟舒淇还有 Kenny 对话，我们可以真的很明显的感受到，不是只是法律上通过了同性婚姻这件事情，它其实还是不断的需要大量的对话，然后大量的互动。
老一辈的，我会觉得说，
对，
像我自己跟家人出柜的时候，
对，
有像妈妈会觉得说，你不是我养大的孩子啊，我不是这样子教，我不是 ，This is not how I raised you， 所以他会很多时候会说，你不是我女儿，我说我还是你女儿，
没错，
也是经过很多年的 ，you need a lot of patience。
Yes,
that's true。
因为有时候会在电话上讲话的话，因为那时候我人住国外，然后有时候在电话上沟通的时候很难沟通。
Did it ever blame you like, oh, I shouldn't send you to the States?
Right?
Yeah,
常会，他常常那时候妈妈常常会怪自己说，一直我觉得他现在还是会有时候还是会觉得自己会怪自己说，
真的哦，
送你到美国学校读书啊，送你到美国读书啊，因为你在美国
被带坏了，
对，都被带坏了。I have to remind her constantly that I'm still her daughter, and that nothing about me has changed. It's just who I choose to be wasn't what she saw for me.
Yeah， 我觉得就是大量的对话，而且要非常非常的，像 Candy 跟舒淇都有提到，就是要很有耐心，大家也不需要特别的动怒或什么，因为我觉得这就是一个非常好的对话的机会，从自己的家庭为一个单位，然后我们才有慢慢的把这些更好的一些讯息啦，更正确的一些互动方式再 spread 出去。不过今天真的非常非常开心邀请到 Suzy 跟 Candy，but it's really you guys the sharing the interview today means a lot. It's gonna mean a lot more for our audiences who are still fighting for the same-sex marriage, for them to understand how important it is. They can be just like you guys, like be with someone you love and then be happy and debate about a dog or let's go we want to travel somewhere else. I think 这个对他们是非常非常我觉得是一个很宝贵的经验分享。在最后节目的尾声，我想要再请两位帮我们送给不管是台湾的 LGBT 的朋友，然后或者是说这些在为人权平权抗争啊，在争权的这些朋友，给他们一些祝福或者一些 sharing 好不好？ So the last part of the program, I would like both of you to share something like an encouragement or just something that you would like to share with those people who are from the LGBT community here in Taiwan, or people who are still fighting for the human rights, the basic rights here in Taiwan. Can you guys say something for them?
蛮简单的，是 be patient and stay strong.
Okay.
That's really it.
Perseverance, determination.
Don't fight hate with hate.
所以 Suzy 要送给我们在台湾的听众朋友，就是说要有耐心，不要用仇恨去对待对方，这样子。
因为你最后出来的就是大家都是很大家，
对，大家都会受伤。其实在这个 process 里面，而且其实大家最终的希望都是可以用爱去让这一切是有更多的沟通，更多的理解。虽然不容易，但是也希望这个是真正在一个文明，在一个很理性的对话之下，可以慢慢达成的一个共识。What about Candy? Do you have something for people here in Taiwan who are still fighting for the rights?
Well, yeah, it's just keep on fighting. We didn't know that our story was going to end up happily ever after. And at the time, we kind of thought, what's at the end of this? And we didn't know, and you won't know until you get there. So keep that story, keep what you want in your mind and where you want to be, and make your voice heard, because it's really important for everybody to speak what they want and to let people know that we're just human and we all just want to be happy. That's really the main goal.
对，非常谢谢 Candy 的分享，其实就是鼓励大家不要轻易的放弃，然后要活在当下，让更多的声音，不同的声音被听见。因为我们其实也不知道未来会怎么样发展，但是只要我们很认真的把每一天过好，有去沟通去呈现，其实这一切都有可能会是逐渐朝更好的方向去发生。那今天真的非常开心，再次谢谢 Suzy and Candy. So if you guys are ever back in Taiwan, would you guys willing to come to my show again?
Of course.
Yeah. 那我们再一次谢谢两位，然后也请大家锁定每周三晚上11点到12点墨镜哥 More iDEARS 的节目，更多的资讯我们也会同步在墨镜哥粉丝团还有 YouTube 上面。谢谢大家今天的收听 Good night.
Go, catch more. 现在就订阅墨镜哥 YouTube 频道。Go, catch more.